But now, the concept of treating your dog as though it is a pack animal, just a tamer version of the grey wolf, may be overturned altogether. Dog behaviour expert John Bradshaw has undertaken research which challenges the dominance training method.
There are essentially two reasons why that kind of punishment-based training is flawed. One is that we got the wolf pack structure wrong. It was thought that big wolves controlled little wolves by aggression. It was thought that that was the way to control dogs, that you needed to be the big wolf and that the dog has to be the little wolf, otherwise the whole thing doesn't work. The idea came from studies of wolves in wildlife parks and in zoos. What the scientists didn't realise at the time was that they had put together a load of wolves that didn't know one another and weren't related to one another and therefore really had no incentive for getting along with one another. So you had these artificial packs where the biggest, strongest wolves controlled the weaker ones. Now in the wild, those weaker ones would have left and probably done quite well on their own. But in zoos, they couldn't leave, the bars were in the way. We now know that the wolf pack structure is not based on aggression, it's based on family ties, where far from being subordinate, the younger members of the pack stay on as volunteers. They stay on to help their parents to raise the next generation of cubs. So that part of the whole story of dominating a dog is really been swept away. The second reason why the science behind the dog pack idea is flawed is that when you put dogs on their own, when they're allowed to do their own thing without minimal interference from people, they don't form wolf-type packs. We've done a study on dogs in an animal sanctuary, dogs that are unhomeable but have essentially been allowed to live their lives as dogs with minimal contact with people. Now, if they were still thinking like wolves, the hypothesis is that they should have set up a wolf-type pack, that the biggest and strongest, or maybe just most aggressive dogs in that group, should dominate the other ones in the group. But what we found was something really quite different, that there wasn't a wolf pack structure at all, that dogs formed relationships with one or two others in the group, that they would tend to hang around with, and they were based on play and affection, and just basically doing things together. So you don't get this pack structure, this single pack structure based on aggression.